And some of the schemes and artifices to fraud that exist today as a result of these virtual court orders, they don't have a name yet because nobody's been charged and convicted with it yet.
Welcome to the Stand with Meg show. I'm your host, Meg, and this is Shawn from the Shawn Lee Report. Welcome, Shawn.
Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
Wonderful. It's a hot day here in Kansas.
It's very hot. I don't know if you guys are experiencing the heat wave that we are, but it's pretty miserable. So I'm excited to see what you have planned for us today, Shawn.
Oh, so much. So we're going to try and accomplish as much as possible today. As you can see, our fraud folder has gotten a lot thicker.
Very, very thick.
Yes. And I have been reading some of the comments, and I'm prepared to address some of the comments here today.
From Facebook.
From Facebook, from Instagram, from TikTok.
And we also have questions that I have a list of questions to ask Shawn as well today. So we're looking forward to that. And as always on the episode or any reel, if you ask a question, I try my hardest to pull them all together so we can hopefully answer them while Shawn's with us.
All right. So Meg, this is not just me trying to talk to you and victims. We're talking to law enforcement agencies. We're talking to United States attorneys, prosecutors, judges. This is meant to be an educative show. All right. So the first thing I'm going to plug is all the lawyers out there. I brought with me the Bar Association.
Promoting lawyers?
I'm promoting lawyers. I brought with me the Bar Association directory for Kansas City. Okay. If you all think you've got a bad lawyer, well, look how many of them are out there. Okay. So if you think you got a bad lawyer, go out, burn up the phones, find a new lawyer. I assure you that there's more. And we make new ones every year. And so what happens if you think you got a bad apple? Go get somebody fresh out of law school.
Yeah, like the gentleman that helped my friend Autumn in California.
Yes, they come out of law school. Not all of them have some silk stockings firm with marble and mahogany lined up.
And they're not corrupt yet either.
So you could pay them a relative pittance, and they'll go do the research, they'll do the work, and because they don't have jobs and are opening fresh solo practices, they have no allegiances, no conflicts of interest.
And they probably don't have any bad boo-boo, like bad history or bad with lawyers.
A lot of them themselves come from victimization. You got to understand this has been going on for a while. Some of them got motivated to go into the law.
Like you did, right?
Right. But like me, I was motivated to go into the law because I saw injustice. And there's a lot of people coming out of law school today all over the country, raring to go, and they can't start until they have a client.
That is so good to know. And so we just helped lawyers. Yay, that just made my whole day.
People forget we are a cannibalistic species. We will eat our own.
That's true. That's true.
Okay. Meg, how would you like to learn about one of the first major frauds that our country published widely?
The first one?
One of the first ones.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of a fella named Charles Ponzi from Ponzi schemes?
I heard Ponzi schemes.
Right.
Ponzi schemes? Wait, came
Ponzi
from
schemes.
that name.
Yeah, so Ponzi schemes are named after the fella who got indicted and convicted of it, Charles Ponzi.
I had no idea.
Before Charles Ponzi, the schemes existed, but they didn't have a name. Now they do. The Ponzi scheme.
Wow. Learn something new every day.
So some of these schemes that are being run on victims, they don't have a name yet. And they're not going to get a name until somebody gets indicted.
Wow. Oh my goodness. My light bulb just went off.
Right. So the scheme is
we need
real.
like a light here.
Yeah.
When a light bulb, when it like something new, I click it and it goes, light bulb goes on.
I love it.
Ding.
In the law, we call that a demonstrative exhibit.
It is a
demonstrative exhibit.
Demonstrative exhibit.
We are demonstrating the light bulb going
goes off. Oh my gosh, I gotta do that. That's so cool. Okay.
So Charles Ponzi, the reason Ponzi schemes are named that is because he's the guy who got indicted. All right. I have the original Supreme Court syllabus from 1922 here. Okay. And you could take a look at this. It's fairly thick. Ponzi versus Fessenden. He was doing exactly what he was saying he was doing, but he wasn't necessarily using wires. He was using the mail. And what he would do is he would recruit money from investors with just fake financial statements about how successful he was. They would invest, he'd provide some returns, but he would use new investors in order to pay old investors. And a Ponzi scheme eventually runs out of people, runs out of money. That's how it ends every single time.
This was in 1922?
1922, okay? Here are Charles Ponzi's original letters to the Massachusetts State Prison and to the U.S. District Court, Honorable James S. Allen. Mr. Ponzi was an incredibly intelligent person, represented himself pro se, unsuccessfully. But what you can see here is that schemes and artifices to defraud have always existed. And some of the schemes and artifices to fraud that exist today as a result of these virtual court orders, they don't have a name yet because nobody's been charged and convicted with it yet.
Well, and if you think about it, family court is such a new thing. I mean, they didn't have family court back in this time. They had court.
There's always been divorce laws. There's always been custody laws. But everything that we're doing now,
used to be child labor laws. I looked into the history. Have you ever looked into the history of it?
Yeah, child labor laws. I worked for $7 an hour growing up mowing yards.
Yeah, I'm talking though, like back in the 40s when it started, how it broke off into child laws, and then they turned it to family and all that fun stuff.
And child labor, when you go back a certain point in history, was child slavery.
Yeah, exactly. That's all they did.
So we've come a long way.
And so now I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Now there's not much family court because family court really hasn't started much big time since the 80s.
So family court has existed for a long time, but so has the exploitation of children.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And so what you have to be wary of are policies, procedures, people, organizations who realize the extraordinary revenue opportunities for schemes involving vulnerable classes. And children are a vulnerable class.
Yep, they are.
They can't speak up for themselves.
And they make the most money.
They can't log into Zoom and say, look, Zoom judge and Zoom lawyers and Zoom doctors, I've seen it all. Y'all are way off base. Children can't do that. So that's the history of Charles Ponzi. That's the history of the Ponzi scheme. He was charged in state and federal court.
So I'm going to bring up some fun facts real quick while you're talking about this. I had no idea that. Have you ever heard of the most haunted hotel in the Midwest?
No.
It's in Eureka Springs, Missouri.
I've been to Eureka. It's a fine town.
I can't think of the name of it, but the whole hotel used to be a hospital.
Yeah.
From the 20s.
Yeah.
And the guy had cure cancer, come here and we will cure you. Well, what they were doing was having people from all over the United States go there and sending letters back telling their loved ones that they're getting cured and they're getting better all through the mail.
Right.
And then, of course, he wasn't. They were all dying, and he put them in the back.
Right.
It's one of the coolest hotels to go to. The history is neat. But that is a Ponzi. That's what he was doing. He was lying. I would have to look and see if he got in trouble.
I wouldn't call it a Ponzi scheme.
No, it wouldn't be a
Ponzi.
Scheme. It's a scheme, but then you could get, that's still fraud, right? Because it was with the mail.
Yeah, and they could name that scheme after this fella because he got convicted of it.
Okay.
Forevermore, that's his scheme.
Okay. And that's, if you think about it, there was no laws with medical hospitals back in the day. There wasn't any of those regulations like now. And so you could do whatever you wanted back in the day until people started reporting that and they started holding people accountable.
Yeah.
That's when things changed and we had more laws come in the hospitals and all that stuff. So this is what we are trying to do, is get you guys to report family court fraud, CPS fraud, because that no one's doing it until, well, we really couldn't until now. Correct?
It's just not anybody's job other than federal agents. It is not CPS's job to enforce the federal criminal code. It is not the family court judge's job to enforce the federal criminal code. It's not the Bar Association's job to enforce the federal criminal code. You just have to go to the federal criminal code people, i.e., federal agents.
Now, when the federal, I'm gonna ask a stupid question. When the federal comes in, let's say you have a killing, the federal government won't come in, the FBI won't come in to look at that incident, the death, unless it goes different multiple jurisdictions, right? Multiple states. That's the only time they can come in as the FBI.
You are leading me into my next folder.
Really? We don't even prep for this. He just shows
Mr.
up.
Ponzi in there.
He just stands up. He just shows up and we just start going and had no idea. So.
Okay. So I've introduced you to a famous example of a scheme and artifice to defraud. Okay. Now, let's go into our new cast of characters.
Our new cast of characters. Now, if you don't know, if you look at our previous episodes, Shawn has made these actors so we can talk about them and to cover his license. So he has done this all by himself. He put together these characters to resemble your actors and your cases. So
sure, I can have suspicions. I can have a good faith belief that people are engaging in these terrible things, but unless I have proof, I really can't comment on some of these things. Unless I'm hired to come in and file something, I can't come in and give a comment. So that's why we've created fake characters, okay? So some of the questions that we have received have been about law enforcement. Why can't we get the cops to do anything? Why aren't the cops doing anything? So let me walk you through some of our police officers and their jobs. And let's start with some famous examples here. Here is the famous sheriff from 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Okay? Will you hold that one for me?
Yep.
Here is his deputy. Okay? This is his deputy. Well, this is his sergeant or his deputy. Okay? This is his SWAT team. All right? He's got a SWAT team. Good-looking SWAT team, too. Okay? This is the detective assigned to the case. This is the patrol officer. They're going to take the initial report.
My goodness, there's a lot here.
There is a lot. Law enforcement is incredibly complicated. Here are state police officers. Here is FBI agent John Good.
Ooh.
And here is our task force. So let's put these in a row, okay? Let's reintroduce those.
We'll put them up on the screen.
Okay.
So you're going to describe, are you trying to help us understand?
I'm trying to help you understand how law enforcement interacts.
Interacts.
So at the very base level, you have your patrol officer, all right? You pick up the phone, you dial the law enforcement agency, you say, I want to file a report, and they're going to send a patrol officer. Okay, and in this case, it's Officer Jake Gyllenhaal. And
I love this. This is like 101.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, great.
Officer Jake Gyllenhaal is going to come out and interview you, and you just tell him whatever you tell him. Okay?
Files a report.
Right. And the only way you can really get in trouble is if you give them false information. Okay? They're not going to arrest you for having an opinion. They're not going to arrest you because you gave them information. But if you give them false information, you can be charged. So this is Officer Gyllenhaal. All right. Next up, we have.
So then you go, the report's happened. The police officer leaves. He makes the report. And then where does that report go to?
Okay. So then potentially it gets assigned to a detective. Okay. Now, if it doesn't get assigned to a detective, guess what you can do?
What?
Complain.
Okay. And how do we know when it's been assigned to a detective?
So you may not know. Okay. But think of it this way. If you're going to McDonald's and you order some McDonald's and you don't get a good order, complain to the manager.
Okay. So people file a report and it's supposed to go to the detective. Now, what makes it not go to the detective when they don't think a crime has been committed?
Well, there's several reasons it could not go to a detective. Number one, nobody's paying attention. That could be it.
What do you mean no one's paying attention? Isn't there like a system to where it goes through a pipeline?
I can tell you that law enforcement faces a crushing an overwhelming amount of information. Okay. And agencies are frequently understaffed, underpaid, underappreciated, and have complicated stuff going on. And so unless you have a bullet hole and are actively bleeding out in the right zip code, you're probably, not at the top of the list.
Wow. Okay. So if it doesn't go to detective, you have the right to complain. So you would call the sheriff or the police that you reported to, and then you would ask to talk to the chief or the person in charge.
Yeah. Say, I want a detective assigned. You're not doing anything on my case. I want to talk to a detective.
And I have physically done this, so you guys know, and it worked.
Yeah. Now, here's the problem. There's a shortage of good detectives. Okay. Everybody wants to be SWAT. They all want to run around with their tactical gear on and with their AR-15 and their body armor and ride around in their armored stuff. Everybody wants to be SWAT. And that's a problem because there's only so much SWAT stuff. Okay? And frankly, if there were more detectives, there'd probably be less SWAT stuff.
Why?
Because detectives have the capacity to get the more complex crimes and get them in a way that avoids risk to life and limb. Before it turns into a SWAT situation, it was probably a detective situation for a while.
Right. So, but the SWAT team is only pulled out when there's like a heavy arrest and they have a warrant out and the judge signed.
Yes, and the SWAT team is there to protect life and limb to the extent that they can. They have to effectuate warrants. They have to save people. Sometimes people don't survive these things. You have police-involved shootings. I like to tell my clients, I practice a lot of criminal defense, there's two ways to go to jail. You can walk into jail or you can get carried into jail. It's better to walk in.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%.
Okay. So you get a detective assigned. That is when you can go to the detective and say, look, here's the case. Here's how the case works. Okay. Now, that detective may or may not take any action. All right. They may not believe it. They may not understand it. It may not be at the top of their list of priorities. Again, they could have hundreds of cases assigned to them. And some of those cases are horrific, horrific injuries, horrific losses. And that's where the task forces come in. So there's a famous movie, The Untouchables, right? This is a task force. What you've got is an example where multiple people are on the same team, but different agencies. So we have an accountant, we have a treasury agent, federal, and then we have two officers from the Chicago police. The veteran, who admits right up front, look, it's corrupt. I know it's corrupt, and I'm just trying to get to my retirement. Okay?
Of course.
Just trying to get to my retirement. And then you got the rookie they pull off the vine, who's not associated with anybody. He's like, I'm a rookie. I don't care. I can make a career out of this. Okay? And what you do is you balance interests. The rookie is excited to take on something new that no one else will do. The veteran is excited to let the rookie go and, do what they're going to do and participate in something before they retire. And they're tired of the corruption that they know about. And then the federal agent and the accountant, they're hunting down the money, the nuanced math, the tiny little facts that prove the scheme exists, and they're bringing the resources. So these folks, they probably don't have the resources to do this sort of thing. They don't have an accountant on staff. They don't have a team of people that can send evidence onto. Whereas these people do, but they don't have the relationships that the local law enforcement has.
Okay.
So that's why you have a task force when you go after fraud, is because it takes a task force to go after fraud. Okay. Now let's talk about state police. So the movie The Departed is a great film, and it somewhat mirrors real life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In this particular circumstance, you have two officers, and both of which have no idea the other one exists. And that happens.
You have what?
Two officers, same agency, both of which are not aware the other one exists.
Of course.
That happens. So that's the part that people need to understand, is that law enforcement is not all purely political. It is like a hammer or a wrench. If you use it correctly, then it will function. And so what law enforcement can do is can send people in to areas without notifying the local agency.
Is that like, there's a big reel that's been going around where a police officer accidentally pulls over FBI agent undercover and starts giving him hell?
I mean, that happens. You know, if you're in a confidential investigation or you have a cover identity, you're not going to go tell the local police department or local sheriff,
especially if there's
police.
Corruption involved.
Exactly. You're not going to tell anybody.
Right.
And you're going to keep a confidential file. And the only way people are going to find out that you were who you were is the day the cuffs go on. Mm. And then it's too late. Okay?
Okay.
So these resources exist for people. Same goes for this. So this is FBI agent John Good. All right. And this was a film about I think it's somewhat historical. But essentially he goes undercover. Okay. And that's something FBI agents can do. One of the risks of going undercover is you forget who you are and what you're supposed to be doing, and you get wrapped up in what you're doing there. So undercover work is inherently dangerous by nature. However, let's hold up our patrol officer. If our patrol officer, more importantly, 5,000 patrol officers all across the country report the same type of scheme, complaints by people all over the country who have the same type of scheme, or if the patrol officer went through a $100,000 divorce, they can get a detective assigned. A detective can get a task force.
Okay. And that's where they go interview and look at all the information, look at the invoices that you provided.
Exactly. And so you work the system to where it all starts with getting an affidavit on file. All these people who are complaining about this scheme and artifice to defraud, they have to start by filing the law enforcement complaint, asking for detectives to be assigned, asking for a state and federal fraud task force.
So you're saying when somebody fills out to the FBI, like mine, if somebody takes it in to the FBI, they give it to them, and if they don't hear back from a detective, they can call them?
So with law enforcement, what typically happens is you put information in and get nothing back.
Right.
And the reason for that is they don't want to compromise the integrity of their investigation. Okay. When you file information with law enforcement, one of the challenges that they have is the sheer volume of the information they take in.
Right.
So the FBI, they get so many tips that they need algorithms to go through it all because no human being can read it all in a lifetime.
Right.
And that's why it's important to form face-to-face relationships with detectives and with federal agents, so you have somebody who you can contact. And even if your email, your call goes unanswered, the fact is you're a real person to them, okay, and not some nameless, faceless figure that submitted a tip online. Okay. File. We're building a fraud file. Okay. We got to keep our file organized because we're going to give this away.
Give it away? Oh. Like this is what you would give into? We
are putting together fraud research to give to a task force investigating fraud.
Oh, got it. Okay. I love that. So smart.
Okay. Check this out. Tell me what you see there.
Tell me what you see. All right. It is a LinkedIn special agent, law and legal. So the FBI is trying to find a special agent that has a law and legal background?
They're hiring lawyers to be special agents.
Oh my gosh.
They want
1 week
lawyers.
ago. 1 week ago.
Yeah.
That is insane.
If you're going to go after legal corruption, schemes and artifices committed by people with bar licenses, you need people with bar licenses to do it because we know how it is supposed to be done,
Mm-hmm.
and we know what it looks like when it's fraudulent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're trying actively to get the people in place necessary to investigate current schemes and artifices to defraud people.
That's crazy cool.
And look, we're not saying that people involved in the family courts are innocent. We're not saying that people involved in the family courts don't have challenging and asymmetric issues. We're saying it shouldn't cost as much as it's costing, shouldn't take as long as it's taking, and it shouldn't be as horrifically bad for everyone involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fact that your client may have, mental health issues and drug issues and alcohol issues and communication issues, that doesn't make every single case exceptional. That's actually run of the mill. And so if I charged people $50,000 in criminal defense for everybody that's on drugs, I can't do that. It's up to me as a lawyer to have systems in place so that I can protect people from themselves and not charge unethical and illegal fees.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about a famous case of corruption, the Cash for Kids case. Tell me a little bit about what you see here.
Philadelphia Division County Court Common Pleas judge indicted on racketeering, fraud, money laundering, tax, and related charges. The United States Attorney's Office for the Middle District, Pennsylvania, announced today that a federal grand jury sitting in Harrisburg has returned a 39-count superseding indictment charging a former County Court of Common Pleas Judge Mark Calvaria, how do you pronounce his name?
Ciavarella, I believe.
Ciavarella, with racketeering and related charges in connections with alleged improper action to facilitate the construction and operation of juvenile detention facilities owned by PA Childcare. Wow. That is so cool. When was this?
Let me break this down for you, okay?
Okay.
PA Childcare was a for-profit company, all right? And what they did was they ran detention centers for children. So if you were a child, you were accused of, a juvenile matter. It could be anywhere from assault and battery to rape to murder. If you violated the criminal or juvenile code, you had to go to a detention center. Well, what families started noticing was that he was sentencing people to these detention centers in a overly harsh and a horrifically long manner, and for trivial things. And so they conducted an investigation, and sure enough, there was a money trail. He had a private vested interest in these companies.
So he was getting the more kids that went in,
Yeah.
the more money he got.
The more kids that went into the system, the more money he made. Okay, that was the system. Now, what you don't see in this indictment is any of the family law practitioners in his court that knew and stood silent.
Oh, that's a good point. So that means they should be in trouble too.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
because
it's like, what's the attempting to conspire or not? What's it called? I can't say it right now.
He got convicted of this. This happened. PA Childcare LLC, Western PA Childcare LLC. Those are companies. He got convicted of this. He's doing the time for it.
Wow.
And if the victims and the company and the judge knew, then it is inconceivable to me that the bar didn't know.
Yeah, of course they knew.
Okay.
Right.
Which is why I go back to go to the legal directory, hire you somebody fresh out of law school, say, here's what I think is going on. There might be some lawyers who are in on some schemes and artifices to fraud, but by and large, the majority of them are not.
So what do you do, though, if there is an attorney that's new, that's out of college, and he goes up against your ex that is a vet in the attorney, and he just bulldozes over this new attorney that doesn't know?
Don't be afraid of people who are fresh out of law school, because and having been a person fresh out of law school, you can reach out to people for mentorship, but more importantly, you're hungry. Okay. And you're not blind. And some of these lawyers who've been at it for a long time, they develop tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
They know the people they know the judges
Mm-hmm.
that they know,
Mm-hmm.
the social workers, the GALs that they know. And when somebody comes in there who's not a part of the team, who comes in there and really makes problems, that's their worst enemy. Okay? So don't be afraid to try those new people out of law school, because they're hungry, they got something to prove, and you can get them for dirt cheap.
Yeah, I agree.
Tell me what you see here.
InfraGard, Technical Support Center, Shawn Lee, Missouri, Kansas City Members Alliance. What's that? InfraGard?
InfraGard.
InfraGard.
Yeah.
Federal FBI. Internet Crime Complaint. Department of Homeland Security. United States Computer Emergency Readiness Team. What is this?
Okay, so that's a card that I applied for and received.
That's like what? A card?
A card. So what I did was I saw the changes coming from our virtual courts.
Membership or
and I applied for an organization called InfraGard. InfraGard is a partnership between the civilian sector and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And it grew out of the September 9/11 attacks. Okay? What it is civilians in areas of critical infrastructure. We provide information to the FBI to help them protect our critical infrastructure. Example, a lot of engagement from bankers, engineers, people in agencies. We don't want our systems taken down. We don't care about the smaller crimes. We don't care about, a little bit of drugs or a little bit of violence. That's not our focus. Our focus is infrastructure, the protection of critical infrastructure. And that's why you have to apply to get in. I had to go through a background check. I had to submit an application. They ran a background check on me. And then once I was approved, I got access to some of the intelligence that the FBI published to InfraGard regarding pending threats to the American people.
So confused. Okay, so you're a part of this organization. This is your card. You got background checked. Okay,
Yeah.
and then now you're a part of this group. They only allow certain people in that pass.
So that was true. I submitted my resignation a couple of years ago after I had done my tour, but before I did, I prepared a 90-minute presentation to them about the risks to our virtual courts. Now, I can't publish that presentation.
Because this is private.
Because what it does is it lays out risks to our courts that could be exploited by foreign nations, by criminal organizations, and by all manner of bad actors. I have to keep a list of everyone that I show that. But the FBI is aware because I gave them a 90-minute presentation on risks to our virtual courts.
How many people are in this group?
Oh, this has, I'm not sure the exact number of members, but I can tell you it's nationwide.
And people can get in, and you see stuff that no one can see.
You get in, and yes, you can see things that the FBI publishes that is secret.
Wow.
And you have to apply to get in, and you have to, under the penalty of potential legal consequences, you have to prevent any of that information from leaking.
Wow. So, for instance, if people want to better understand this, like the Minnesota, when they decided to just arrest these people with fraud,
yeah,
that information probably could have been here first before they went and actually arrested them. Is that what you mean?
I mean, potentially. So,
not saying it happened like that. I'm just trying to give people an example because everyone knows the Mike Shirley, the Minnesota fraud, how the daycare, the learning center.
So what you did as a InfraGard member is you identify risks to our critical infrastructure. Okay. And the goal being, if it's going to destroy potentially the national security of the United States or hundreds of thousands of people and millions and billions and trillions of dollars worth of damage, you basically explain it to them so they can prevent destruction of the American people.
Okay.
It stemmed directly from the 9/11 attacks because they didn't want that to be repeated because nobody heeded the warnings because there wasn't a system in place.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay. Awesome. Okay, Shawn. So what are we going to talk about on next episode?
Well, we got a big folder here, and I think the appropriate thing to do would be to go into family court social media.
That's a good one. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Thanks for joining us today, Shawn, on the Shawn Lee Report at the Stand with Meg show. And we will tune in next time. So thank you, Shawn, for this wonderful education on criminal and filing a complaint and all that fun stuff. You learned a lot today. So
yes.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
And Shawn, what's your ending slogan? We're going to get better at this. Ready?
There's less criminals in criminal law than in family law.
Good job. I can't even say it. All right.
Stand with me.